Hello, greetings. Unfortunately, I have not been able to take a lot of part in the Gorian boards on Facebook lately. I have started a new study routine when it comes to my occult work and haven't had all that time for Facebook. But there was a discussion on one of the forums that I wanted to take part in, but I haven't had the time. And now that I have a few moments, it's just quicker and easier for me since I have dyslexia to uh, talk about my points and opinions on the matter in a video than to write it up. So yeah, the topic is about gore and BDSM, and I know I have another video about this topic about how gore is not a subgroup of BDSM, but this topic was a bit about uh, why, why BDSMers seem to think that we are part of it, and also a few people sort of felt that BDSM are horrible people for believing that, and I have to defend BDSM a bit there. So, I hope nobody will be insulted by this video, and yeah, excuse me. So, here's the thing. Um, Gore is not a subgroup of BDSM, and the reason for that is that the BDSM elements of Gore, the slavery parts, are just one part of a greater whole. Like I said in the video about this topic, um, it's like with the old Roman civilization. You're not saying that is a BDSM civilization, nor do you say that, for example, Old Norse civilization is a BDSM civilization, though they had slaves and they've had a prominent part in society. It's the same thing with Gore. Yes, there's a slavery element, but that's just one part of what the Gorian lifestyle is. Basically, Gorians feel that slavery is a privilege that those that earn it, those that desire it, those that have freedom boiling in their blood deserve. And if you don't have that, or you just feel like being a slave, some people have, it's natural to be a slave, then that's the right thing for them, but it's still only a part of the lifestyle. Now, here's the problem why I feel it's wrong to say that BDSMers are horrible people for claiming that gore is a part of BDSM, because it has nothing to do with arrogance. What it has to do with is us. Let's put it quite frankly here. It's us. Because there's so many people who claim to be Gorians where the lifestyle is nothing but BDSM. I mean, we have a guy that runs around and has this huge gore site. I think he calls his homestone La Cachira. I am a slave girl. There are so many gore sites where all you hear about is slavery, 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 slavery. Oh, slavery, 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 slavery. You can hardly find anything about gore unless it's slave, 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 slave. And if that's all it is, and quite a few Gorians who claim that that's the central element of it, then it is BDSM. If the only reason why you are Gorian is that you like the type of slavery Gore offers and like the positions and like all the Gorian trappings for your DS relationship, then that is BDSM with a flavor of gore. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I don't say you're not a Gorian lifestyler. You're a Gorian BDSMer. There's a difference. There's nothing wrong with taking elements from that and including that. It's perfectly fine. But there's a difference between the Gorian lifestyle and foreign BDSM. The problem is people don't have any idea about it. There is a difference. And as such, since there's so many more people who only focus on the slavery element, where that's the main thing. If Gore did not have a slave element, they would not be Gorians. Excuse me again. If basically they might include some ideas of the honor, some parts of the rest of the lifestyle, but if it didn't have the DS elements, they would not be Gorians. If then they are BDSMers. And there's so many more people like that than there are people who has put the philosophy, put the honor, put the society, the lifestyle first. I'm not saying that you're not worrying if the slavery element is an important part for you, by no means. But if that's the only thing that's important to you, and yeah, and I mean, here's the thing: if for most people, if it quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, smells like a duck, and generally in all ways appear to be a duck, most people will say this is a duck and not look a bit closer to see that it's a robot inside. The same way, when they see a lifestyle that talks about slavery, the various forums are just filled with pictures of girls in bondage. They talk about slavery, it's slavery this, slavery that, and that is all they see. How are they then to separate this from BDSM? It is nothing to do with arrogance to then assume this is BDSM, because then when Vigorians come and say, no, it's not BDSM, what that sounds like, no, it's more than that, and generally quite a few Vigorians is a bit snobbish. What that sounds like is like somebody say, oh, so you have a cottage, and somebody say, please, this is a vacation villa. Yeah, so it's a cottage. That is what we sound like. And I'm not saying this is the fact of it, because here's the thing. I, who am a Gorian, who are into the Gorian lifestyle and into the Gorian society and so on, I know that for quite a few Gorians, there's so much more. And it's just the same as old Roman wouldn't be a BDSMer even if he had a few slaves. And I see that the slavery element is more a part of the philosophy. It's the philosophy that we should be what we are, and for some people it's natural to be free, and for other people it's natural to be a slave. It's part of the philosophy, and as such, is not BDSM, because with BDSM it's those elements that's important, while within the Gorian philosophy, the Gorian lifestyle, it's the philosophy that's important. It's the way of life that's important. So since I am into it, I can see that I can see the differences. However, when somebody is looking in on the outside, the Gorian lifestyle, for most parts, look like BDSM. So I feel it's very wrong to judge BDSMers for thinking that Gorians are that it's a BDSM lifestyle. Basically, if we want to stop that and change our image, so to speak, what we need to do is to stop discussing slavery constantly. We need to discuss more of the other lifestyle thing. I'm not saying stop discussing slavery all in all, but instead of it being 90% discussions of slavery and then perhaps to 10% discussion of um, actual lifestyle stuff, and a few percentages of pictures and funny images and such. There should be 90% discussion of the various philosophies and lifestyle elements, and perhaps 10% discussion of slavery. B. Um, we have to stop then basically mixing it together with BDSM constantly. Because basically, BDSM forums often have a Gorian section. Gorians and BDSMers mix a lot. Now, I don't have a problem with this. But if you want to uh, basically separate that out, it's like this. Let's say you have a neo-pagan group that want to make sure they're never associated with Wicca. If they have their subforums on Wicca, of course they will be associated on Wicca forums. I mean, of course they will be associated with Wicca. Basically, what I'm saying, if we are going to be seen as something other than BDSM, we have to A, cut the ties with BDSM, which definitely are there, and B, stop discussing the BDSM elements of the lifestyle more than any other element. That's how we stop that. Now, for me personally, I don't care. I don't care if they call gore a BDSM lifestyle, if they call it philosophy, if they call it whatever they call it. What annoys me a little bit is when somebody says BDSM trekkies. Because to be honest, there's so many things that has had inspiration from fiction, so that it's not a strange thing that we have taken our inspiration from a fictional source. However, so like that annoys me. But if somebody thinks it's a BDSM lifestyle, I don't care. Of course, I can only speak from my own personal experience, and being a BDSMer also. I am a Gorian and a BDSMer. It doesn't bother me. I can definitely see that some others might be bothered by it, but like for me, it's not something I really care about. I can inform people then that how it's not BDSM, but I mean I'm not insulted. However, if one wants to not be associated with BDSM, one cannot just sit and say if people are horrible to making that assumption. We have to then look less like BDSM. Because to be quite honest, when we discuss slavery as much as we do, that's exactly what we look like. And I guess that's what I wanted to say about that matter, because I definitely don't think we should cut the ties to BDSM, because there's so many, we can learn so much from one another on that part where that we have in common. And then we can go our own ways on where we have nothing in common. But if it's very important for people to make that distinction, then changes has to be made rather than complaining that BDSMers get it wrong. Because I mean, I was a BDSMer once, had no idea of gore. We only watched these people discuss on Color Me, and they looked like BDSMers to me. All they were discussing all the time was slavery. So first, when I got into the lifestyle and saw it from the inside, did I realize that no, they are right when they claim that this isn't BDSM. But it very much looks like it if you don't know a lot about gore, and you cannot expect people to know a lot about a rather obscure lifestyle. So either we have to accept that, yeah, we look like BDSM. We can inform people that that's not what we are, but we can't really go around and be insulted when that's exactly what we look like. or we can make the necessary grips as a society and a lifestyle to change that image. Because that's, I believe, as a Gorian, that one should wake up and smell the coffee, as they say. See, this is reality, this is how it actually looks. So either accept it and stop complaining, or do something about it. And for me, I would rather accept it and stop complaining, and rather than try to explain to people how the two differ, rather than be bothered by it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents in that discussion. I really hope I haven't insulted anyone with this, because I know I was a little bit harsh in some of what I'm saying. I just, yeah, wanted to make my points. So if you have been insulted by this video, I deeply apologize. So yeah, I hope you have a great day, and blessed be.